So this over here is the Mac Mini M2 Pro chip, and as you can see, we have already logged it in. And what we're going to be doing is testing this Mac Mini on the live video playback performance in Premiere Pro. Now, it's got some killer encoders and media engines inside, so let's see how does it handle footage from 4K all the way to 12K. I'm running a competition on these Mac Minis as well as this 13600K CPU. And if you want to get one of these for £1 or $1, then stick till the end of the video to learn more. CCL is the place for your creator PC needs. Their wide range of products offer extremely competitive pricing, and in fact, in my experience, I have found that CCL's price is the best price on the market. There's also a 0% interest purchase option available to spread the cost. Use the code TN10 to get a special discount when spending over £250. Check out CCL and their latest pricing in the video description below. So this is Premiere Pro 23.1. And we have got the Mac 2 Pro, and this is 16 gigabytes of unified memory as well as 512 gigs of RAM. We're running the latest Mac OS update as well with this. And by the way, this Premiere is a native version for this. This is not running through Rosetta. This is actually optimized by Adobe to the M1 silicon. So we're gonna test that. I've got a color grade applied there as well. So this adjustment layer is just to put some random color grade on to actually put some utilization for the GPU as well, because Lumetri color is actually played back on or GPU accelerated. So we'll see how that does. This is full resolution playback, and this indicator here is how many frames we're dropping. This is 8-bit 420 60 frames per second. And timeline performance is very smooth. If we press play, plays back no problem. Let's add the color grade as well. Seems very, very smooth to me. Clicking through timeline is fine as well. Let's see. The M2 Pro chip does look like it's 83% utilized there, as you can see on the top. Whoa. Look at that. What is going on with the power supply? 112 degrees. What on earth is going on? Let me close this and open it again. Maybe the sensors are reading something wrong. No? Look at that. Power supply is ridiculously high. It's absolutely crazy. We're just playing back this 4K 60 frames per second 8-bit 420 footage. Now this is 10-bit 420 24 frames per second H.264, and this seems fine as well. 0 frames dropped. Timeline is very, very smooth, as good as I've actually seen anywhere, so I'm happy with that. This is a 10-bit 422 30 frames per second now. So I've put a bit more sensors on the top over there, so you can see the power supply now there, CPU core 1, and then CPU efficiency cores there as well. So the 10-bit 422 30 frames per second seems very fine with color grade as well. Very, very, very smooth timeline playback. Actually very, very good. This feels fine to me. Very, very smooth. Now, this is 25 frames per second H.264 422 10-bit from A7S3. Let's press play. Seems like it's got no problem at all doing that. Bear in mind, I am recording this screen externally through the Thunderbolt port, okay? So this is only 1080p screen. If you're running a 1440 or 4K screen, you might have issues in performance because depending on your scaling might actually be limited to the GPU as well, because the GPU will start scaling up and down, and it will be massive, massive hit on performance on the GPU when you're using like the color grade here, for example. It might not even be able to play this back. Very smooth. This is the SI or all intra clip as well from Sony A7S III. it's super, super smooth. Everything is full resolution 4K. We're playing there back. And this feels such a performance upgrade from the M2 already, the base model, if you want to go check that out, because it is double the price, but we'll see the timeline performance is much, much better here as well. So this now is 10-bit 422 60 frames per second. And now here we're seeing a little bit of like kind of stuttering. We'll see if we can play this back with no frames dropped, and looks like we can play this back with no frames dropped. We are 84% utilized on the CPU, on memory. Okay, this is graphics actually, video card. Oh yeah, graphics is 82% and then CPU is 18%. So it does use a lot of graphics to play this back. But regardless, this is absolutely fine. 422 10-bit 60 frames per second, H.264, very good. This is H.265 now, and 420 10-bit H.265 from Sony a7S III, and this seems very smooth. Time on the scrubbing. I'm gonna press play. It does play it back very instantly. This is nice. Very happy with that. Now this is Canon R5, 60 frames per second, 10-bit 422 H.265, 4K footage. So let's have a look. Scrubbing on timeline, extremely smooth. Very, very, very smooth, like buttery smooth. So as you can see, these encoders really, really make a difference there. This is amazing. I mean, this plays back better than any of the Ryzen Threadrippers, if you remember that. It's absolutely crazy. Any of the AMD processors, unfortunately, literally can't play this back. Even if you're running a 4090, this is pretty impressive. When I'm pressing play though, it takes a bit of time and then starts playing this back, as you can see. And it looks like the GPU might be the bottleneck there, just because it's 60 frames per second. Go on. And then presses play. So that's the weird thing. It's not instant playback. Look at that. Play, go. There's like a 1-2 second delay, which is a bit annoying. See? And then it keeps going. But scrubbing through is very, very good. Now this is Canon C200, 4K, 60 frames per second, and this is DCIe 4K, okay? So it's a little bit wider than 16:9 aspect ratio. So the M2 wasn't able to play this back properly, really. Let's see the M2 Pro. Now, it did have a little bit of time to think about it and then keep going. But now you can see it's dropping frames. It's seriously dropping frames. It's not smooth at all. And here's where like the raw codecs and actual power of the system is not very good on Apple. So you would have to convert this to H.265 or something like that. So you'd have the encoders actually playing this back. It starts off with like, okay, and then boom, just drops frames. But the worst thing for me is when I press play, there's this wait here and then it starts. This to me is like, what a waste of time to play this back. This is ridiculous. 4K Red RAW with color grade, scrubbing, extremely smooth, pressing play, no problem. Let's see, what was the frame rate in here again? 24 frames per second. Plays back, no problem. Now we're gonna try 120 frames per second here as well. So this is H.264, 420. And when we're playing this back, it is dropping frames, but it's quite smooth still, like for the eye to see. It's not perfect. 422 10-bit. So this is it's all right as well, actually, but it's not perfect. Some of the Intel chips will be a little bit faster in this, but it's like, it's all right. Honestly, it's not bad, but it's not amazing either. So this is H.265 420 now, 120 frames per second. And there's still this like waiting to play back, which is like the biggest thing. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. And now 422 10-bit. Yeah, we're dropping a lot of frames. probably dropping like half the frames, which means that maybe the encoders are limited to 60 frames per second, not 120 frames per second, so they're not able to literally just play that back. They will play that footage back, because like when I'm pressing play, it's still a little bit of a lag to play this back, and play and go, play, go. But the scrubbing is very, very good, which makes me think that the actual encoders do just play it back at 60 frames per second. Because often Intel's encoders as well, they can't play back more than 60 frames per second. Some of the Arc encoders and the Arc, like new GPUs, dedicated GPUs, are 60 frames per second, which means that even if you run 8K, it can natively, you know, decode it on the timeline, but it will only run it 60 frames per second, even if you have like 8K, 120 frames per second or something like that. So 5K Red RAW now. Okay, there's a big pause when you're going, and then again here, this is where we're losing. Like the Intel i5 13600K, for this price point, like the $1,300, something like that, you could build a PC with that and an RTX 3060 would play this back much better in Premiere Pro. Scrubbing is okay, but just playing back that 5K seems a bit lot to playback full resolution. Let's take color grade off. Let's see if we can do that now. Even bigger weight actually, but still dropping frames, as you can see here. CPU isn't powerful enough to just chew through that raw footage. So this is 6K Red RAW, okay, with color grade, pressing play and go. And this is even worse. This is dropping quite a bit of frames here. Let's see. Waiting, and then yeah, dropping frames. If you take the color grade off, it's not very responsive even on timeline. The worst thing here is honestly that the waiting before it starts playing this back. Obviously, bear in mind, I am stretching the system. I don't think anyone will play full screen back the 6K footage. It'd probably go like maybe half or quarter resolution. And if it's half, is able to play this back without the color grade. Let's add the color grade back on half the resolution, press play. Nope, even half the resolution, it can't do that. Go. See, this is Komodo, 6K Komodo, and I think this one is Epic. If I'm, what is this? Oh no, Dragon 6K, Red Dragon 6K. So there's slightly different sensors, but it's similar codec, if that makes sense. Yeah, so half the resolution, you might be able to do that a little bit. This is B-RAW now. Let's see, without, let's put color grade on as well. Single clip, press play, full resolution. Okay, timeline scrubbing is good, but if we press play, look at that, that power supply is really getting hammered there. 85 degrees on the power supply. And the Mac Mini is getting slightly warm there as well. Getting quite warm air out coming from the back there. One of the CPU cores is 87 degrees. So look at that. Even though being very efficient, it's not very cool. But look, it's even dropping single clip of 6K. Two 6K clips on top of each other with color grade. 10, 15. So it plays like almost a little bit, but then once it hits that buffer, I don't know if the RAM runs out and the unified memory kind of maxes out between the actual system CPU and GPU, and then it just boom, hits it. Because look at that. If you press play, you can see RAM 47, and then look, starts losing out on power, and then the RAM actually goes to 43% or something like that. GPU 83, CPU 82. And we're dropping frames a little bit, but still dropping frames. This 6K full resolution can easily be played back any of the like chips, even like a Ryzen 5600X can play this back, which is a lot less than $200 CPU. It's very, very easy to play back on a Windows system. But here it's struggling a bit. So this is Canon R5 8K. This is Canon RAW from the R5 camera. at half the resolution. Okay, big slide show. And as you can see, it is all played back on the CPU. You can see that the CPU cores are 100% maxed out. And our power supply is 93 degrees. Look at that. Maybe for the torture test, we should have just played back some video footage, because that is the one that absolutely maxes this out. Look at this. CPU 1 core, 92 degrees. Obviously the fans are still like base speed. It's quite warm air coming out from there. It's very warm. So if you do want to edit this, let's see if it's doable at quarter resolution. Scrubbing is quite alright. Pressing play. Yeah. This is 8K RAW now. And let's try a full resolution with color grade. Press play. Not playing it back. Half the resolution. Okay. No, still very laggy. I think this is actually the unified memory that just reaches the actual buffer between the CPU and GPU, because they share it. That 16 gigabytes might not be enough, because it starts off well, but then as you load that 8K footage through RAM, because some of this is video memory and some of this CPU memory, because it's a system unified memory. Look at that. It starts, press play, quite smooth, and then starts lagging. But interesting, the memory, I don't know why is it like, well, 3.8 is actually cached and we're using this one. I don't know what this other part there is, 4.7 gigabytes, 6.3. Look at that, Premiere Pro is pulling 10 gigabytes there of RAM. Interesting. So the RAM is actually bottleneck, because if I'm using this on a Windows system, some of these 8K clips like pulling like 60 gigs of RAM there, especially this Canon R5 8K. I can see sometimes like 100 gigs used if I've got 128 gigabyte like a kit installed. So here, this is 12 KB RAW. Let's press play. Look at that, quarter of the resolution, and it's doing quite a good job. It's very smooth with color grade on as well. As you can see, it is raw. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Half the resolution. No, not half the resolution, but even half the resolution, you probably don't need it. So that's no good. Mac Mini is like kind of warm to the touch. It's not cold. I've got 23 degrees here in this room right now, and I can feel that it's warm. It's definitely not hot to the touch. So what was the performance difference between this now and the M2 base model? So the Pro and the base model. If you see the base model, you can see that it was struggling a lot more than this Pro model. I think the 16 gigabytes of RAM definitely comes useful, because we need to share it video editing and you know, CPU, so video card and CPU. So if you're video editing, probably 16 gigabytes should be like the minimum you should be getting. But bear in mind, what type of video editing are you doing? Are you doing like 1080p or 4K or something like that? Then you don't actually need that much VRAM. So maybe going with the 8 gigabytes and basic ones, that's completely fine. Let's say you're just splicing some video, then exporting it and just doing some simple things like that. I think it's completely fine. Now this is like quite hardcore video editing, what some of the, you know, more, let's say people who run a business, like a video editing business, would do with this. And I think it's doing quite a good job. Now, is it as good as similarly priced Windows machines? Probably not, depending if you know what to build from Windows side. If you go with like Intel and you get Intel QuickSyncs, like the 13th gen, like 13600K with RTX 3060, something like that, then you can get a much better system built together, especially with exports and so on, speeds. But there's also the, you know, the whole operating system and Mac OS, and a lot of people just love that. But if you do love that and you want to stay with Mac, I think this is a very interesting option there actually, and very easily expandable storage externally. Unfortunately, it's not internally. But overall conclusion, I would say not bad. I was especially impressed with the R5 footage, the H.265, 60 frames per second, 422, 10-bit, 4K footage, and it was very, very buttery smooth. The biggest annoyance with all of this is that when you press play and then you wait and then it starts playing, that to me is like a big, just a time-wasting thing, and it's much better in Windows when you instantly play and it starts instantly playing. Even if it's struggling at first, it starts playing rather than thinking, okay, let's get together and then we're playing. So, how do you get these two Mac Minis for £1? Well, here's how. I am raffling both of these away just to support the channel and just to give back for you guys something for, you know, subscribing and watching and things. So I have created a profile and the raffle competitions on raffle.com, and the reason I'm doing it apart from there is just to give a little bit of protection for you who are watching this or who want to enter this raffle or wants to have a bit of fun and put a quid in and see if you can actually win one of these. It's 100% legit. This is worldwide. Only thing you have to enter is go in the link in the description. You don't need to follow or do anything in the social media channels. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to, but you don't have to. All you have to do is go in the raffle site, enter for £1 a ticket, and that's it. This PC can be yours. And if you want to win more or get more chances to win, get 2 tickets and so on. So this is completely up to you. The winner of this will be drawn on my channel as well, and you'll get a notification on there as well. But this is trusted site. It's something that gives you protection and me a little bit of credibility, so you can be sure that you can win something completely hassle-free, and this will be delivered to you at the doorstep for just £1. This is just crazy. I'm so excited that someone's gonna get one of these or both of these Mac Minis for £1 or $1. Check it out in the description below. If you want to build yourself best bang for buck, create a PC, then check out the links in the description below. There is build guides for you, whatever budget you have, from $500 to $5,000 plus. There is a PC for you where you get the best performance for your budget. So highly recommend you check that out. I honestly believe these are the best build guides ever for creators. So check them out. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.